T minus 40 seconds. T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to the Play It By Ear podcast. The podcast where the topics may vary because, hey, we play it by ear. And now your hosts, Eric Fiskus, Brady Liming, and Todd Griffin.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to episode 171 of the Play By Ear podcast. I'm PJ's dad.
Good evening.
Good evening.
PJ's dad.
Yeah.
Brady's
The wombat. And to explain that.
Oh, I will be happy to explain that. So imagine this. I know this is a bit of a stretch for me, but I found out a piece of information about this exotic mammal. That it has a thick, lumpy cartilage posterior. It's very difficult to penetrate the skin. So they're slow and chunky, and they will hide in a burrow to get away from a predator, even if they can't fit all the way through because they're chunky. And their rear end is so tough that the teeth can't penetrate the butt cheeks, but then they wait till that predator gets its snout on top, and they literally torque it to death against the top of the burrow that they're hiding in.
And by burrow, you mean a hole in the earth,
hole. Yeah,
not a part donkey, part horse, or whatever a burrow is.
That would even be more disturbing.
Yes.
It sounds like the beginning of an Australian joke. So a wombat's hiding in a burrow.
What is a burrow? Is a burrow? I don't know so a mule is half donkey, half horse, right?
Correct.
I believe so.
So what is a burrow then? Is burrow just all ass? Is that a complete ass?
I think so.
Okay.
So, yes, some people, welcome, by the way, Justin. Some people's timing is just impeccable, and I guess
he came in right on the cusp of that. Justin is my co-worker, the new member of the team that whose sense of humor is very simpatico with ours. So welcome aboard, Justin. It's gonna be a ride.
Yeah,
Joey.
Joey, welcome. Thick and lumpy with skin that's hard to penetrate. Sounds like most of my dates in the 90s. Don't know how they grow them up there in Cleveland, Joey. And by the way, we will not mention any Ohio pro football.
No. Right. And Joey, sorry.
You're welcome.
Better?
Yes, son's a little sick, he says. So no Boy Scouts tonight. So you're going to be with Play It By Ear tonight. Hopefully our humor can make him feel a little bit better. But anyway.
We're salve for the soul.
But I wouldn't count on it.
Yeah, right. Might make him worse. Savannah's here with us.
Savannah.
Hello, Savannah. Has anybody found that out for us yet? What is a burrow exactly?
I'll check it out. Keep on filibustering.
I want to know the difference between a donkey, a mule, an ass, and a burrow.
An ass is just another name for a donkey.
They're all beasts of burden.
I'll never be here, beast of burden. A burro. I would believe this would be my guess. I think burro is just a Spanish word for donkey. That'd be my guess. I don't know if it's a different species of donkey, and that's not the right word, of course, but a different. I can't remember. Think of the word I'm looking for, but a different type of donkey, maybe.
All right, got your answer.
Here we go.
Real quick, I tried to type in Burrow versus donkey, and it popped up Burrow versus Mahomes.
That would be Burrow versus Kermit.
Did I spell Burrow incorrect? I spelled it wrong. That's why. Okay.
No W.
Yes, no W.
Here we go. Burros and donkeys are the same animal, and their scientific name is Equus africanus. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. No. Sorry. It is Equus equinus. Yeah, a burro and a donkey are the same. A mule is not the same.
Hang on a minute. I have a different table here, Brady. I have 6 crucial, I tell you, differences between a donkey and a burro. So, this website's disagreeing with you. It says
is this going to change my life if it's crucial?
Yes, it says that a donkey is a domesticated animal with a scientific name, like Brady said. Burro is a wild animal with a scientific name. Was it Equus asinus?
Yeah.
Donkeys are found throughout the world, but most of them are found in third world countries. Burros are mostly found in the United States and Mexico. Donkeys breed anytime throughout the year. Burros typically only breed during the wet season. That's dangerous with Joey on here. Why did I even say that?
Yeah, right.
Easy, Joey.
Mad props.
Donkeys, they were bred about 6,000 years ago. Burros evolved approximately 4 to 4.5 million years ago.
Ooh.
Appearance, donkeys look like horses, only that they are smaller and have tails similar to a cow. A burro, they're smaller and hairy. Are they both hairy? Donkeys live between 40 and 50 years, and burros live between 25 and 30. So, Brady, you've been fact-checked. You've been fact-checked, my friend.
Fact-checked in real time. It's been happening a lot in the last 24 hours.
I just need one more of you to make it 3-on-1, right? But here's something else that oh man, where did I just... And just like that, I lost it.
Joey, how much did you pay to see that burro in Mexico?
Joey says, I saw a burro in Mexico. Not going to say one single item, but beyond that. Also, the burro could be species Vitis scirolitus or...
Joey, I get that reference. I was quite the tennis watcher in the day. My roommate in college took lessons from him.
Smocus salatoides. That's a different animal.
Yes. Joey, you were on Fuego tonight.
Yeah, Samantha.
Samantha.
Hello, Samantha.
Samantha, how was Milwaukee?
Milwaukee. Got the historian here with us. Want to know the difference between Paul Peters, who got kicked last week, and an ass? I'd imagine the difference is minimal.
Yeah, we were talking about that before we came on the air. I wonder if Paul will return.
I believe he's been blocked. I don't know if you can be unblocked each week and then you have to get blocked again.
I don't know.
Well, I will if I see him in the comments, I will announce to him that I'm going to block him, and then I will block him just so he knows it's coming.
You need to get him a good old
too.
You need to give him a good old James Woods blocking.
Yeah, he has a word for that. Zeman. Hello, Zeman.
Hello, Zeman.
Zeman.
Milwaukee is an Algonquin word that means the good land. Did not know that. Okay, good to know. Joey, full of it.
And he is.
In the good way tonight.
It's seeping out of him everywhere. He's oozing. All this knowledge is oozing out of him.
Let's see. Smith says Milwaukee, so much fun, kind of smelly though. Or the two males in the car. I'm uncertain. So what was the smell? Or shall I ask? Maybe I shouldn't ask.
Well, two guys in a car, you got about 3 or 4 choices, and
Either somebody had the vapors or was eating some foul food.
I got the vapors. All right. Well, that was a little detour off the highway there.
That was a
Burros and
raucous hot opening.
donkeys and such. So I put PJ's dad as my little message. I don't know, banner, is that what they call it? I think. And there's something. I forget what StreamYard calls those little things there. But so I put that because I don't know if I mentioned that on this. I think I mentioned it, but maybe I can't remember. So my son's first official day as head esports coach at Ashland University was Monday. So had a big story on the athletic department website about his hiring and all that. And I'm a proud father.
Very cool.
Cool.
Cool. PJ will be successful. Do I see a fresh trout dinner reference?
Fresh trout dinner.
By
That's what the
someone
smell
other than
was.
Someone other than the historian.
Well,
You must have shared that episode.
Oh,
all right.
Samantha, a good fresh trout dinner along with a side of birth salad is
It's every man's treat. So Joey, your son's tried out for the esports team in high school. If he's any good, I know a coach, and Ashland is just down the
There's a
road
guy.
from you. I know a guy. Got a guy. All right. So welcome to the 11 people in the room. Some of you have checked in, some of you have not. So if you'd like to, please do. If not, just watch along and hope you enjoy what we got for you tonight. What we got for you is the completion of a bracket. However, I believe Brady has a topic. If we could do Brady's topic first, then we'll complete the bracket at the end.
fine with me.
Everyone
good with that?
agreeable?
Yeah.
All right, Brady, then you have the floor, sir.
I have the floor. Okay. This came from something that Eric and Todd, you guys both shared it with me, and I don't know if somebody was sharing, but I got it from both of you guys, and we like kind of dip it into the nostalgia time to time. And this is a topic that comes up frequently, but the name of the topic is things that were normal in the 80s that are socially unacceptable now. Now, your three esteemed hosts did our growing up in the 80s, at least Todd a little bit less so, but he still did a good bulk of his formative years in the 80s. And this is going to be some interesting statements, because even if you didn't grow up in the 80s, we would like you to chime in on this, because I'm kind of curious. Some of these things, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, since it was socially unacceptable now, and I think it was unacceptable then. So I'm going to take him to task a little bit. So I'm going to vent my spleen a little bit on some of these descriptions. But so let's start off easy. Smoking on airplanes. Yep, that's an ashtray that you could see right in your passenger seat. If you could even book a seat in the smoking or non-smoking section, but as you know, airplanes are one big tube, so it's kind of hard to escape the smoke. And they thought that a shower curtain would keep it out, but that was, I'd never been on a plane where there was smoking.
Well, that makes as much sense as like a smoking section in a restaurant or something, where one booth is non-smoking and like 8 feet over to your left is a smoking section.
Or the best one, Frisch's. You would be on one side of the divider, and it would be non-smoking, and literally like over a 1-inch Formica and faux wood divide would be somebody smoking like a freight train, and it would just magically stop.
Of course it did.
So I wonder if something happened on a plane that made them ban smoking on a plane, or is it just a health concern?
I think it's got to be the health thing, and the fact that you're riding on thousands of gallons of flammable juice. So that might.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that it just dawned on them all of a sudden that, hey, this flame could be bad news with all this fuel. I mean, how many years from like the birth and the popularity growth of commercial jetliners and the ban of smoking? How many years, I wonder, went by before that happened?
I'll have to look it up, but like I said, I'm just gonna be totally honest. The reference, I did my first flight on a commercial airplane after I was kind of grown up. It was in the early '90s, and it was no smoking then, so I really don't have a point of reference. So anybody that's out there,
I didn't fly until 1994. So, and I didn't fly again until 2015, maybe.
mm-hmm.
I don't believe I flew until 1997. I think when I went on my honeymoon, might have been my first airplane ride.
Actually, when you went to England.
That is correct. England. I went to England. Yes. that is true, Brady. My first plane ride was to London, an 8-hour plane ride, and I don't know why I ever got back on a plane because that was awful flight.
Sorry, gentlemen, I have a wiener dog at my door whining to get in, so I just had to send some for reinforcements. So.
Scat that weenie.
Tim, hello, welcome.
Welcome, Tim.
Now you can still go to Kentucky because they still have smoking in restaurants in Kentucky. You can test that theory that the smoke just stops.
Do they, or did they? I thought they canceled it there too.
Did they? If it was, it's been very recent.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, definitely more recent. I think we've talked about, Brady and I were playing in bands together when the smoking ban first happened, and I was a fan in one way, but not in another. It definitely at the time the crowds dipped down. It dropped, but it was nice to be able to breathe when you got home from playing 4 hours in a smoky bar.
The clothing stank. It was ingrained into whatever I wore that night, and it was inescapable, man.
It was typically like Wednesday before I could breathe freely again after playing all night in a bar that was smoking. And no offense to smoke. Again, it also had some negative. I think everything obviously has corrected itself since, but I remember when that first came about.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the venues you played flat out ignored the smoking ban.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. One in particular comes to mind. They actually got shut down because of that, I think.
I wrote an essay in college about the smoking ban.
Yeah.
And it was it a agree, disagree, or you have to argue a side, or?
I think I had to argue a side, or I don't really remember. I did with it what I always did with my essays. Complained and groaned and moaned and didn't get started because of the thought of like a 4 or 5 page essay. I hated it, but then when I got started, I wrote like a 28-page essay because I knew the professor would stop after like
roots
2 pages. Yeah, just write. That was my way of every essay. Just you got to figure that the professor doesn't want to read 25 pages, so
I got a slightly amusing anecdote. This triggered a memory. So we got done playing a smoking establishment into the night, and it's raining outside. So my hair got wet, and the water that ran through my hair into my eye holes was like being maced because the smoking stuff started like liquefied into my eyes. It was horrible.
I have a similar story. I remember. This has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, other than the fact that I would have given anything to even have some smoke scent to mask this. But I remember Brady. We were playing at what was the place at Milford? It always had the fights. Was it Sneaky Pete in Milford?
Yeah, Sneaky Pete's Milford.
And I asked our singer at the time, our good buddy Matt, who does the voice
of the Play It By Ear podcast. Yes.
He had some nifty pleather pants that I wanted to wear, and he told me I could wear them. He had them in his car, but he warned me they hadn't been washed in a few shows. Yeah. I was like, I don't care. I'll put them on anyway. And I spent the entire show smelling like graham crackers and day-old funk. It was the worst I've ever smelled in my life, and I had to just smell myself for 4 straight hours.
You had to baste in it.
Oh, my gosh. Matt, if you're listening, buddy, I don't know that I've ever smelt such a smell as those pants, having been in your car for however many weeks unwashed. after sweaty.
God, and
sweaty
that
woman.
that pleather is not breathing. I mean, whatever is in there is not getting out.
Here's
Yeah,
a sentence I don't get to say very often. The red pleather pants that I had for the same iteration of the band, it was horrible. I had to
It
put
was
it
like-
outside in a bucket.
This was like animal and food and rotten meat and mulch. I don't know. There was
Mulch.
a little bit of everything in there. Yeah. So sorry, Ray. Didn't mean to hijack your
All right.
your plane. Your the
Well, I
point you
want
were
to.
about the smoke. I don't. My question goes back to what caused it to, to end. I'm assuming it was just for the health of people
Yeah.
around. I can't.
Yeah.
I think we would have heard about it if there had been some terrible
Yeah.
You know,
I think it was
accidents
just
and vaping
changing.
and smoking. Yeah.
Well, let me welcome a couple people in here. E-Swope, cigarette vending
E-Swope.
machines in Frisch's lobby. Yeah, among other places.
Yeah.
That's a memory. Amy,
Amy.
Amy.
ever been at a casino that allows smoking? I would imagine it'd be the same on the plane. One big puff of smoke. Yes,
Yep.
that is correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she also just threw up a little with your description of the pleather pants and the.
Oh, I'm
stench.
sorry. I'm sorry about that.
So let's move it on here a little bit. This one I think is going to get some debate. Imagine that. So once again, the topic is things that were normal in the 80s that are socially unacceptable now, showing up unannounced to someone's home. So showing up unannounced at a home seems to be one of the 21st century's cardinal sins, and in a way that makes sense. Why when everybody has a cell phone, is there any need to be unannounced? But I got to throw this back there. That was socially unacceptable, except for a small circle, present company included.
Yes,
That wasn't acceptable back then.
correct.
You just didn't show up at somebody's home. They could be in their under things, or they could be busy doing something.
No, will you repeat it again? I'm sorry. I thought I heard it, but then so showing up at someone's home unannounced, basically.
Yes, that was okay in the 80s, but not now. And I agree that it's unacceptable, kind of, depending on who it is. But
So
I-
you promised debate, and I have one for you.
okay.
Hopefully, this debate isn't the springboard to as many cringy Facebook posts as I've seen today from last night's debate. But gosh, there's people that need to not quit their day job out there. I think so. So Brady, you're arguing that it wasn't acceptable back then either.
Yeah, I mean, as an avid Miss Manners reader in the Cincinnati Enquirer, that was something that was kind of drilled into me early in age.
I don't know. I mean, first off, you didn't have as many ways to get a hold of somebody back then. You couldn't text them and say, "Hey, I'll be right over." Or,
Right.
I seem to remember that being really fun and awesome. Like when all of a sudden, like your cousin just showed up at the door and
Yeah.
wanted to hang out and play, or your aunt and uncle came over, and again they brought your cousin, so then you knew you were going to get a hangout. I mean, I can remember that happening a lot. So I had no problem with it then. Now that I'm an adult, I just don't get bored.
Yeah. So, I mean, nowadays, and I think I've mentioned this little comedy bit before about you can't even call someone without texting them first.
Yeah.
like how dare you call me without texting me to see if I'm receiving calls?
Well, my answer is always no. I'm not receiving calls. I prefer texting over calling any day. But I don't know. I think now it's less common because you would always at least send a text saying
Yeah.
I'm stopping you by or something. But back then,
Yeah.
I think it was I agree with that. I think it was acceptable and I think it was fine.
on the texting note, at one point in time, I was vehemently anti-text, like early on, like when you had to pay extra for it.
Oh yeah.
Like, why am I paying extra for that? And then you get X number of messages per month or whatever. And like, I can just call someone on the phone. Why do I need to type? That seems silly to me now. It's like, I don't want to call anybody.
And I know Todd's phone habits now. that if I call him without a text, he better pick up because I might be in a ditch bleeding because I know he's not going to pick up. So if I do, he knows it's like, hey, this is serious.
Well, yeah, and I get complained about from family and stuff like that for not answering my phone. But I will say, most of the time they call in the middle of the day. As you guys know, as teachers, we just can't answer our phone like some jobs you can. I mean, I'm not the only job where you can't answer your phone, but we definitely can't. And so like it becomes a habit, and then you have your phone on silence, so then you forget to turn it back. So there's a lot of missed calls.
That's got me in trouble a few times.
Really aren't me purposely missing them. But yeah, I you know how you see those memes and you hear like when you have a meeting at work that could have easily been handled by an email. Yeah. That's how I feel about most phone conversations. They just
agreed.
And plus, I mean, as we all can be, I mean, we do this podcast. We, long-winded is something that I've maybe been called before. So a phone call turns into an hour and a half conversation of me pacing around the house talking on the phone, and really the phone, we could have gotten a few texts and solved the problem. So yeah. I apologize if anyone ever calls me I don't answer.
John, that is correct. If I'm calling you, it's usually I'm griping about something. My apologies, but you get to hear my gripes all the time.
All right.
I am anti-awkward silence, and phone conversations almost always come with awkward silence. There's nothing that makes me more uncomfortable
Brady.
Awkward silence.
I see what you did there.
Thank you.
It's like when you go out and do something with people or a weekend trip and everybody's tired on the way home on that Sunday and it's back and you drive 5.5 hours and literally nobody talks. That's hell to me. Like that's no matter how tired you are, you should always muster up something to say.
So you're a podcast radio guy at heart. You hate dead air. Dead air is not good.
Yeah. Which is what led us to do what we do, because there's been many a car ride with us all together that turned into discussions like, did you know wombats twerk their enemies to death?
Yeah, if you joined us late, you missed that one.
Yeah, right. I'll have to share that video. Okay, speaking of car rides, this one goes to the next one, and this is something that we all lived it. No car seats for kids was acceptable in the 80s, and now it's a felony in some instances. Well, if you have an accident and the kid is not, I think it's in some states it's a felony. So I'm just going to take the floor for this one, and you know what I'm talking about. You remember these conversations. Put those seatbelts back in the things and stop playing with those. Tuck those back in. Don't play with those seatbelts. Don't
Yes. Yeah, those are supposed to stay tucked inside the seats.
Yes.
Don't get those things out. and while we talking about seats, I mean, kids didn't sit in seats. Kids laid in the windowsill. Kids laid on the floorboard. Yeah. I always wanted a station wagon for that reason. I mean, that had, to me, and I don't know that I ever got to do it. That would have been the funnest thing ever, riding in the back of a station wagon.
Yeah, and then when you're the youngest, like I am, you had to sleep on the hump. It's like getting a piggyback ride from Quasimodo down there.
Oh. Yeah, there's been times I had to ride the hump, especially like if it was a standard shift, that would change the humpage in the back, or if you had to straddle the front seat, where for some reason this was rare, but for some reason I remember 3 people in the front of my '76 Pinto, and 3 in the back, and whoever was like, it was a stick shift, so I had to keep from bleeding them as I drove because
I'm sure I would love this. I could just already picture the gear shift on that 76 Pinto, Brady.
Yeah. It looked like my elbow skin wrapped around the stick.
it looked like what what's his name last week told me I looked like.
Yeah.
And yes, by extension, E-Swope riding everywhere in the bed of a truck. Now, Dad had a truck, and I did a lot of riding in the bed of the truck, and that was enjoyable, but can't do that anymore.
I'm trying to think. I don't know exactly why or where, But one of my friends in 8th grade, I mean, it was a good 90-minute car ride each way in the back of a truck through God's country.
Hmm.
That was a lot of fun. But, you know, like looking back on it, it's kind of like, ooh, you know?
Jim, welcome.
Oh,
Yes,
Jim?
Jim says the panel wagon with the rear-facing seat. Yes, the
Yes.
family truckster.
The family truckster.
The metallic.
Metallic P.
Okay, tell it, Eric. Tell it.
Now, which one of you was that?
That was me.
That was you, Todd.
Yeah.
It was
I spent
So,
about 45 years thinking that was the.
So the conversation went like this. I'll go ahead and jump in, Eric. We were talking about, and he made the comment, and pardon my slightly less than TV 13. Todd said, "Yeah, it was in the color of metallic piss," and like what? And he was making a joke about the car in Vacation. And it's like, no, metallic PEA, metallic P, not PEE.
You still never provided proof that it's not what I thought it was.
first of all, if your urine is metallic, you got issues.
Well,
Second of
actually,
all,
if a
second
penis
of all,
is
you.
metallic, you've got issues.
What if second of all, if your urine is that color green, you got issues. It's got to be a pea vegetable, not urine.
I'd have to see the script because I think this is a common homophone issue we're having here, fellas. You think PEA, I think PEE, but either way.
Can I? There's a story similar to this. I'm telling a story on one of my former students that
The historian?
not the historian, it was post-historian. And this is when I had elementary. And I was in my room during recess duty. It was my time off of recess duty, so we had a free period or a free 30 minutes. And I was in there working, and I was eating a bag of sea-salted hummus chips. And there was 3 students that came in to finish a project. They weren't in trouble, but they came in to finish it. And he's like, "What you eating?" I was like, "This hummus chips." And he said, "Well, what's hummus?" I said, "Well, it's sea salt and some chickpea." And his face just went, "Girl?" or what? No. PEA. He thought it was chick-pea.
I think you've told that story on this podcast before.
Yeah, and I it goes in my book, my teacher book of stories for when
Does
I'm
it- does
all
it-
done.
Doesn't make it any less funny. That makes you laugh
No.
every time you hear it. But
All right. Now, if there's no other comments. Oh, wait a minute. John says, what was that?
station wagon with the flip-up seats in the back, lined with plastic, is a great holder of a keg to an away football game at Ohio State. You sound like that you know of someone who did that, John.
Might have known of somebody who.
Yeah.
All right. This one is now incorrect. Well, no, I shouldn't say it's incorrect, but it is dated information because some styles have changed. This says mullets. As we know, mullets are back. They've been
Yes.
back and they're starting to fade out, but this guy's mullet is particularly.
That's some serious party in the back.
Well, that's a serious.
Is that Keith Hernandez?
I was going to say it looks like Keith Hernandez, Pablo Escobar, and well, I don't know who, but that was a very hair helmeted mullet, but that stash too, man.
Hmm.
But mullets are kind of back, and unfortunately, I think they started off as ironic mullets, and I don't think they're ironic anymore.
No, people meaning young people think they're fashionable now. I think. Although I think you're right. I think they're phasing back out, aren't they?
Yeah, it's kind of ran its course again.
And it lasted about as long this time as it did last time.
Yeah.
Oh, Nancy telling stories.
The historian's mother. If you could provide us a picture of the historian and a mullet, we might have to get you a T-shirt.
Yes, we need to see a picture of that. Yes, parachute pants. Yes, that's another 80s.
I've got some in my drawer in my my bedroom. Those were stage clothes.
Historian says that guy's probably now the third member of Florida Georgia
Oh,
Line.
no doubt, no doubt, absolutely, he is.
Oh, gosh, there's 3 of them.
Well,
I don't know.
Jamie,
Jamie,
welcome
welcome.
aboard.
She says, no, they are back. They are horrible, as they were the first time. And that was even in my age group. And I thought they were abhorrent.
Brady had one, didn't he?
Yeah, I kind of did, but mine was a little bit. It wasn't like the pure mullet like this guy had. My mullet was more like Uncle Jesse from Full House mullet.
You had a perm mullet, didn't you?
Now my hair is just naturally wavy the longer it gets.
No, I thought you permed the back of it.
I thought he had a perm too.
I think it got on top. It got permed in 8th grade, but once again, I really didn't need much of it. I when we start doing Todd's topic, and I will find my Uncle Jesse a Full House
Todd's
mullet
topic.
picture.
No, Brady, if it was considered to be high fashion when you were in that teenage age group, you were in it.
Maybe a little.
A little.
Maybe a little. But,
Continue.
I shall continue. This one, I'm going to gloss over this next one because we've kind of delved into it. But making ashtrays in art class or Bible school.
Bible school.
where we made the clay, because an ashtray was an accessory that multiple homes had to have.
In Bible school, if you put a cross in it, it was fine.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, absolutely. So, anyway, today, not that much. Now, this one is going to cause some debate. Ready for this? Remember, this was normal in the 80s. It is not acceptable now. Latchkey kids.
Oh, yeah.
Explain that to me a little bit.
I shall. Here we go. I shall read. Latchkey kids, often out for as long as it was light, were a routine sight in the 80s. Most of those kids even managed to survive to adulthood. And now we look back with nostalgia on our childhood, lead us to say, however, these same now grown-up latchkey kids have turned into helicopter parents who wouldn't dream of giving their own kids the same freedom.
That is a fact.
That is a
However,
fact. However,
I have issue with that description because a latchkey kid was not a kid that was running out and about. I thought a latchkey kid was one that came home from school and had to stay home and fend for themselves.
Home.
well,
To an empty home with no supervision.
they had some
Yeah.
mobility, just no supervision. They fixed their meal. They did their own homework. Maybe watched a sibling, but because I remember that there was an after-school special, something about a latchkey kid, and I thought it was somebody that was like being held hostage. And then after I watched the show, I kind of figured out what it was talking about.
The ABC after school special.
Yes.
Talking about what's the one that stuck with me? Was it Cipher in the Snow or whatever? You guys remember
Cipher. I don't remember that one.
No.
Huh.
I made a couple ciphers in the snow when the restrooms were taken and I had to go outside in the snow. It would be a message.
All right, got some comments. John says, well, hold on, Jim. The mullet was not a good look in the 80s, still isn't a good look. That is correct. Jim says, achy breaky heart cured him of a mullet. Correct. Nancy, you guys know he would disown me if I share a pic. Nancy, we got your back. We got your back.
Love and motherhood is thicker than disagreement. Nothing can break that bond, not even a mullet pick.
That's a fact.
I mean, Brady said the F word in front of his mom right here on the podcast one night.
And she still loves him.
She still loves him,
I
yeah.
think.
Amy says, how about smoking area at the high school? Now,
That
Brady,
still blows my mind.
yeah, Brady, was there ever, when we were in high school, had smoking area, had they been done away with at that point?
it was already disappeared by the time we got up there. I think that ended in the late 70s. Now, I know that the CTC at Georgetown, it had a student section and much later than the high school did. But if you got sent into the teacher's lounge at our good old alma mater
Oh,
to deliver
God.
something, you needed a 1,000 lumen light and a foghorn to announce you're coming. We're over here. And you played
Yeah.
Marco Polo until you found them.
Pretty much like crossing the river Styx when you went into that movie. Don't pay the ferryman.
The ferryman.
And the thing is, the person who was supposed to be teaching your class was the one over there
Was in there.
fogging up the room.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and it always smelled like newspaper, cigarettes, and coffee. In
That is
order.
true. It's true.
Well, what was the third one?
Coffee.
Coffee, cigarettes, and what was and
Newspaper.
and and copier ink.
Yeah.
Ditto. Yeah,
Could've been
ditto
newspaper.
ink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good old days.
All right.
My last punctuation on the latchkey kid thing. Being a latchkey kid, and that kind of is the stereotype where the greatest generation fought World War II. The boomers had Woodstock. Gen X are the latchkey kids that we survived, and
We were self-sufficient.
yes,
Well, okay. Let me play devil's advocate here. I think it was safer to have latchkey kids back in the 1980s and prior decades than it is now to have latchkey kids.
I agree with
True.
that.
For a few reasons. Number one, I think there's just more messed up people now than there were then. Now with social media, people can find out who are latchkey kids. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like they can find those things out. They can, there's stalking and things like that that happen digitally now, and just in general, I think that. So I don't want to knock people now for not, I guess,
I
allowing
totally know what you mean.
Yeah,
latchkey kids, but yeah. I'm just
correct.
throwing that out there. Yeah.
So, got some comments here. Joey, latchkey kid, got home from school, no parents till they got off work, which also was E-Swope's comment. E-Swope also hanging roach clips with feathers on the car in the rearview mirror. and not knowing what a roach clip was.
I thought it was decoration.
And you won that roach clip with the hot pink feathers at the fair, throwing a dart at bulbous balloons that were already touching.
And
You couldn't miss.
and I would win my locker mirror, which I didn't know was not a locker mirror until a couple years ago. For Melvin to do toot off of after he popped the balloon, and I had no idea.
Melvin probably did toot on your locker room mirror before he gave it to you.
And then went and ran the Himalaya Express.
So he tooted on it, or he didn't toot it? Because
He did toot on it.
I was going to say he did
Snorted
toot that,
toot.
or there you go.
Let me put the emphasis on the correct syllable. He did toot
on it.
on the mirror.
On the mirror. Let's see. So also a couple different people here, E-Swope and Amy, say Western Brown had smoking areas until 87, 88, 89. Those people from Mount Orb and Hamersville. I mean, you gotta watch them.
I see.
They're a little more worldly than we in the eastern
Right.
side of the county.
I see the missus is in here. So yeah, if I'm not mistaken, didn't I win you a mirror, like Brady, a toot mirror at the fair? Seems like I won you one, either a poison. I think I won you a poison mirror, or maybe there were three scantily clad women in the back of a truck. But either way, I remember giving it to you and being proud that I won it.
I had a Def Leppard one in my locker, and I had my Toto and Huey Lewis one that I kept at home. So I
Yeah.
had a Toto toot mirror.
Yes.
Not a Toto mirror. Joey, thought I had it in my head there, Joey, and then I forgot it. Is it the? It's
I don't remember.
It's Michael Myers or Mike Myers. Is it
I was gonna say a Halloween movie.
No, I meant Mike Myers, like Austin Powers, Mike Myers, but I thought it was. Oh well, maybe I'm wrong. I bet there was an airplane involved in the movie, but I might be wrong about that too.
So Celia thought the roach clips were to be put in your hair.
I thought they were to be put onto the back of one's, even though I didn't own one, straw cowboy hat that was airbrushed in pastel colors.
I would like to point out, Joey, that I said Mike Myers in a plane movie. So think flight attendant school. Was it what was that movie with?
It's escaping me.
Was it Soul Plane or whatever was it? Or not? Was Snoop in it also? No. Either way, that's as close as I can get to Mike Myers in a plane movie. View from the top.
From the top. There we go.
There you go.
The next one is also something that has come back
Obscure.
with the mullet from the time period, and that is short shorts on men. Now, if you've ever watched an episode of Magnum PI,
you know what I want to say about this anyway. Go ahead.
Oh, I know it's coming, and it involves the term bubblegum, right?
No.
Okay, that's a different story. But Thomas Magnum always sported the short shorts, and then the University of Michigan came along and changed the world there for a while with the long shorts. And guys, really, if you track it, let's call it 1990. Let's call it 1990. So it took all the way until about 2021 to 2022 where the shorts started creeping back up again.
Because the short shorts are damn uncomfortable. That's why.
Which goes back to the term bubblegum. Nobody wants to see it when you're getting in and out of a beanbag chair or a chaise longue or something like that.
Well, nobody wants to see a man in short shorts anyway.
No.
But you know how I feel about that. There's very few public, acceptable places, in my opinion, for a man to wear shorts.
All right, I'm going to put an image in your mind. Man in short shorts with no shirt, with his shirt tucked in his back pocket.
That's Spicoli.
You're trying to get me fired up, aren't you?
No, and not only are they short shorts, they're short jorts with the shirt tucked in the back pocket. Not manufactured jorts, mind you, but the ones you just cut.
Jorts.
Exactly, you cut them with the scissors.
You
got the image now, don't you?
Yeah. Used to be my neighbor.
The problem, because as you know, the legs are connected to the feet, and I feel about the same way as with shorts in most cases as I do about men's feet in most cases. And that is, we've become too lax as a society. When I can go to Jeff Ruby's steakhouse and look over and see a man's hairy ass knees and his ankles when I'm trying to enjoy my steak, that's a problem. Put some paint on. Put some socks on.
Ass knees or hairy ass knees?
Hairy knees. And again, the problem is there's nothing wrong with shorts. Of course, there's nothing wrong with it. If we're heading out to Arby's to grab a sandwich on a nice hot summer day or something like that, wear your shorts. But the problem is it's gotten over to where people are too comfortable wearing them. Just like I see men in sandals and flip flops in nice restaurants. I shouldn't have to look at unmanicured feet while I'm trying to eat expensive ass food. And better yet, you got the guy that plays softball, and I used to play softball. I'm not knocking softball players, but he's got a giant scab from his knee down to his shin that's just oozing, and I got to look over and see that when I'm trying to enjoy my meal.
It looked like he went skateboarding in an Arizona rock gulch and came out on the losing end.
Like somebody stuck a fruit roll up to his leg.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man.
Ooh.
You knew this would get me fired up, Brady. You know how I feel about that.
Oh, yeah. I saw somebody walking down the street on that day that it was like 72 degrees as a high temperature, and they had their darn T-shirt tucked into their back pocket, no shirt, gallivanting down the street, and I about made a citizen's arrest. I about got a blunt object and jumped out and whacked him in the kneecap and did citizen's arrest.
You about got your class of 88 keychain and went to work.
Oh. For the record, I was class of 89.
Well, no.
Tassel
I don't know what keychain you're referring to.
Yeah. So the historian throwing down here when it comes to Brady, is it bubble gum or knee pads?
I'm not following that. I'm not sure if I'm wanting to follow that. What do we mean?
So do I need to clarify bubblegum?
You might.
I know what you mean.
Okay.
I know what you mean.
Okay. The bubblegum reference is a friend of ours who one particular evening had a pair of short shorts on, and
Homemade jorts.
For whatever reason, okay, if I'm wearing short shorts, it requires a level of self-awareness.
Especially if your undergarments are not in the places where they need to be.
Right. And I should know that any sudden throwing out of the leg, spreading of the leg region, getting out of cars too quickly, swinging on tire swings, for goodness sakes. I should know that I need to keep things tucked in.
Could cause a displacement issue.
Right. And when it comes untucked, we've got bubblegum.
So I believe the knee pads reference is a testament to a lack of terseness.
Oh!
If you will.
If you will.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Yeah, because nobody went like things could get splayed and then displayed, and nobody wants to see a bat wing. So it's just one of those things.
Not even a half a bat wing.
No. All right.
And all Nancy can say is, "Oh my."
Oh my. Memorizing phone
Nancy,
numbers.
We try for weeks at a time to hold it together and keep it. But sometimes we just can't. Sometimes we push that TV 14 rating.
Yep. Against the envelope.
Up again it, but not in it.
There you go.
Much like your coleslaw and your pulled porpoise.
An unkempt Jose.
It's very important for our listeners to know that every time I get coleslaw and cottage cheese, I take a picture of it and send it to these guys just because I can imagine the face they're making.
Like this one.
I see I'm lagging a little bit here and pixelating. I hope I'm okay.
You're okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Memorizing phone numbers. This is a skill. It's a muscle that I'm not using very much anymore. But what's strange is I still know some, like Eric. I know your father's phone number, like from you growing up. Yep. I know about 3 or 4 friends. I still know the phone number of the landline I had at my house that I no longer have.
937-446-2087.
Mm-hmm. 937-446-3075.
Correct. And it was sad for me that I gave up the 3075 number last week.
Yeah. I would say neither one of you remember my phone number because we probably were the age
It had
gap
2s and 4s in it.
That had no 4s. but the age gap was probably at that age was a little too. I don't remember you guys calling me much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
We just
we
showed
wanted to
up
see you,
unannounced.
yeah, we just showed up and announced, right?
There you go.
Just drove.
It's funny you mentioned that, because when I'm teaching like poetry in class, we talk about rhythm, a series of beats, and we talk about, because a characteristic of poetry is obviously rhythm, and we talk about I talk about phone numbers, and the kids like just how glassed over of a look the kids, kind of like the look you guys are giving me now. But the point is, like, we memorize phone numbers because of the rhythm of them. We didn't memorize them because we had great memories and the numbers were easier. We remembered them because it was ba 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 ba. That's how we remember phone numbers. It was the rhythm. You put any number in.
The rhythm had something to do with it, and also 7 numbers was the most number of numbers that was readily accessible to the human brain.
Yeah, but Eric, the only thing against that, the reason I think it's more rhythm than that, is because when we added area codes, it didn't matter. We still could remember them because it just extended the rhythm. Now we have ba 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 ba.
Do you do that in class? Sheep burn, fool.
We do, yeah. Because
do you make them do it too? Ba 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 ba.
If your phone number was 532 61 9 2 747, nobody would ever remember it. Same reason with the Pledge of Allegiance. I mean, it's easy for kids to remember because of the rhythm of it. If you said, "I pledge allegiance to the," you know what I mean? Like if you mess with the rhythm. So anyway, phone numbers I always use phone numbers. The kids don't get it because they don't memorize phone numbers anymore. But it's
or the alphabet song. There's another one.
Yeah.
So it's funny you mentioned that with announcements and things because the pledge. When I was gone from school while dealing with my dad's arrangements, I came back and I heard from more than one kid, "We're glad you're back because whoever was doing announcements while you were gone didn't know the order and didn't do things in the right way." And they were talking about, one of the things they were talking about was the rhythm of the Pledge of Allegiance.
Well, I'm curious to what they did differently.
I don't know.
I pledge allegiance.
Pledges too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I go along with your rhythm. Rhythm is a dancer theory.
Couple more. Oh, sorry.
So I got some comments. So Joey, actually 937 was a separation from 513.
It was the spinoff.
Yeah, 740 was a separation from 614. So that's how they and the odd thing about that was where we're only 50 miles from Cincinnati or whatever, which is 513, but we got put in the 937 area code, which was a Dayton based area code, which is like 80 miles away. So kind of interesting there, but there was one place in our county that had a 513 area code, still does.
There's got to be a line somewhere, but it still blows my mind where Joey was talking about long distance as a racket. In Macon, Ohio, where our high school is, we had some friends that they lived on one side of the road and one lived like across the street from each other, but that's where the line was. So to call across the street was long distance.
Oh, I mean, like kids these days don't know what it's like to rack up a phone bill with your boyfriend or girlfriend and your parents to make you get in the car and drive you up to the bank so you can get money out of your savings account and pay for it. They don't know what that's like these days.
No, that was a real thing, and then they would see the bill and get mad, and yeah.
Heaven forbid you met a girl from another town like Chillicothe.
Yes.
And rack it up.
Well, Russellville was bad enough for me.
Oh, it was. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, historian says that was a King of Queens reference with your phone number cadence.
Oh, it was. Yes. Yeah. I didn't mean for it to be there, but you're right. It was. Very nice.
So Nancy brings up Jenny 867-530-9. But that's the only place you had a cadence with the phone number like that in that song.
Yeah.
It wasn't 4463075.
Right.
It just kind of 867-530-9 just kind of would flow together better. Than
It did, yeah,
numbers.
because they put the first 4 digits of the number together rather than the first 3.
Yes.
I want to tackle Mr. Swope. This isn't on my list, but this is not acceptable now.
I was gonna say yes. Is this worth talking about here?
Shirts versus skins, where one part of the basketball team or soccer team they differentiate. One will wear shirts, one would not. And that was all well and good until that thing called co-ed phys ed started. And as much it might have been desired by one side, it was not going to happen. So,
well, I will say this: it was never acceptable to me.
No,
when I take my shirt off.
Yeah, I hated that. I remember having to do that in Pee Wee basketball, and because our shirts hadn't come in yet, and I was not comfortable.
No.
Well, I mean, it wasn't as bad playing against the skins back before body hair was fully sprouted.
Man, it's like putting a surgical mask on a golden doodle, man. It's like all out of
So Amy talks about the party line. Amy, we've discussed the party line at length here on this show. I had a party line at my house. I shared with people across the street. You pick up the phone, they'd be talking. So,
how did that not seep into illegal territory, of listening in on phone calls and things like that?
I don't know. I've never quite understood that. So somebody, I'll have to research that because honestly, I've got nothing why it was necessary. Like on the Andy Griffith show, which I didn't watch a lot, but there was like a town operator that would patch people in. And I mean, that was a thing maybe in small towns, but I don't know. I don't really have an answer for it.
Okay. So question about that. And I have no idea what the answer is, but so if a town had a town operator that had to take the little phone wire and take it from here and in, put it in that hole, and so was there a period of time during the day, during a 24-hour period, you could not talk on the phone if the operator was not on duty?
That is a great question.
That is a good question. Yeah.
Shout out to another newbie, Miss McFadden.
Oh yeah, look at this. What is a party line, she says?
She is my coworker. And let's say
Brady,
she is less elderly than me.
She's what?
Less elderly than me. So she probably does not know what a party line is.
There's no one in this room less elderly than you. Or everyone in this room is less elderly than you. So what is a party line? Who would like to... I'll explain it, since I have one. So Alexis or Megan, I guess you could maybe go by Megan, but I don't know which one you go by. So Miss McFadden, at my house, and this was even up until the mid-'80s, there were occasions where I would pick up the phone to call somebody and I would hear people talking on the phone, and those people were my neighbors across the street because they were talking on a conversation they were having. So I had to wait for them to be done with their conversation before I could call anybody. So you pick up the phone continually. They may still be talking. You hang up the phone. You wait till you finally got a dial tone. Then you could dial out. And sometimes they picked up on you while you were talking. And I'm like, Brady, I don't know what the purpose of that was or the need for it, why it had to be the way it was. But again, I'm testament to the fact that up until the mid-'80s, probably as late as 84, 85, that, yeah, we had a party line.
Bye, Joey. Thank you for tuning in, Mr. Joey of Square Table Degenerates fame.
Yeah, Joey. Hope your son feels better. And you're right. Brady is definitely that guy at work who talks about his podcast all the time.
Lies.
Yes.
I do that over a Smucker's Uncrustable.
Yeah, I was gonna
Not a
say,
ham and cheese
Joey,
sandwich.
You should know enough about Brady to know he doesn't eat ham and cheese sandwiches. That would be just too normal.
Well, and I would even Uncrustable. Where's the handle on that?
That's the beauty of it. Because I can handle it in its plastic sheath.
Okay.
It does not have to be
Oh, my
sullied.
God.
by my finger.
All right. Yeah. So that's what it is.
Here we go.
I was going to say, you say there has to be a handle so your hand doesn't sully a part that you eat. So you hold it in the plastic bag as you eat it.
Well, it comes in a package.
Yes, I know.
I have some in my freezer right now. But
Yeah.
so like you
They're
can
great.
hold it. They're wonderful. I actually read like it was like back this summer that the Baltimore Ravens went through something like 7,000 of those in one season because they're the go-to snack because they're high in protein and yeah.
I guarantee you, not one of those Baltimore Ravens or Orioles? What'd you say?
Ravens, one of those birds.
Either way, I bet none of them ate it with the cellophane still around the edge.
Oh, I bet they
Indeed.
did.
No, none of them
Because
did.
if you're getting ready to go tackle somebody and fling them down on the ground and impale them into the dirt, you do not want to have some jam on your fingers and make it slip. So you need to grab it clean-handed.
I bet Brady has more foreign objects in his body than anything.
You want to rephrase that, sir?
Take two.
Take two. I would also like no foreign objects nor any domestic objects.
Speaking of Burrow, let me rephrase that. Although
Please
only
do.
for that one. The amount of cellophane and napkin particles and everything else you use to hold your food, you have to eat some of it sometimes. There's no way to not actually take a bite of something when you're holding it and eating it.
I have a 6 or 7 sense. I can detect it like around the parts that is gonna be sullied, so I just toss it. If I think it's sullied, I'll toss.
Oh my goodness.
I know for a fact that you've had to eat. You've had to have eaten a part of a napkin if you're using a napkin to hold a glazed donut.
I eat napkins all the time. That's one of my favorite lines from
Yeah.
Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's a pear.
So-
It's got a sticker on it. Don't eat the sticker. I eat stickers all the time.
I can at least see an argument for using a napkin or something on a glazed donut, only because of my hatred of stickiness. Even though I
Yes.
don't.
It's the root
But-
of my issue.
But the cellophane wrapper on the Uncrustable, there's nothing sticky about an Uncrustable.
No.
It's a nice, dry. It's almost an inviting texture on your fingers.
I do have an answer for that, and it's an accidental. See, they had to be frozen. And sometimes if I go to eat one and it's still frozen, you have to open up one side of the package and put it in the microwave for like 8 to 10 seconds. And sometimes you overdo it and it starts hemorrhaging jam and jelly. And that's what causes the issue. So you got to keep that in that second to keep it from getting all over your hands.
I have never in my life put an Uncrustable in the microwave. You set them out long enough to thaw out, man.
Well, sometimes you forget.
Yeah.
Or so it was one of the children accidentally put it in the freezer, and I was wanting one for breakfast, and it was like gnawing on a brick with bread on it, and I had to like nuke it a little bit.
Have you had the Uncrustables that are the Nutella inside with the?
That is one I've tried. I don't love it. It's a bit sweet. Nor have I tried the peanut butter and honey ones.
Yeah.
So you obviously have not found the sweet spot of heating up the Uncrustable if you have hemorrhaging jam
It
and
depends
jelly.
on the microwave. My one at home is a solid 10 seconds. The one at school seems to have a little bit more power, so I have to like cut it off at 7.
Brady uses his microwave more than anybody I know. Because I don't mean as an insult. Because Brady microwaves more things than anybody I know. Like he microwaves things that you don't typically microwave. Vienna sausages, Uncrustables.
I have never microwaved a Vienna sausage.
Yes, you fool. You said you did at school.
No.
Yes, you did. You said that.
You said that. That's how that whole thing started. You said you took
No.
them-
I was talking about the student. I thought they would microwave them.
That's
and they
right.
didn't.
You
Yeah,
were,
yeah,
you were in shock that they didn't microwave.
yeah.
Oh, we have comments.
Look at Josh's precision here.
Well, we'll get that in a moment. So, Jim says when he was young, you only had to dial 4 and then the last 4 numbers if you were calling within the same area. So he lived in Williamsburg, which was 724 is the first 3 digits. You only had to dial the last digit of the first 3 and then the rest of the number, which...
It's like a phone number contraction.
Yes. Let's see. Jim also asked Brady, how do you eat M&Ms?
In my mouth. Not as
Do you just throw the whole M&M in there?
Yeah, yeah.
So
do you
you-
bag
Usually
at
with a
once?
bag, or sometimes I'll throw them in my hand. But once again, the beauty is it melts in your mouth, not in your hands. You don't have to worry about it. I was a victim of marketing.
well, bread crust doesn't melt in your hand.
No, don't question me. It's
I've been questioning you for years.
yeah,
but
yeah. I'll have to make a credo. I'll make a handle, napkin, hand constitution, and I'll read it one day.
a treatise.
Yeah.
So, he swope getting some tobacco festival in Ripley at 12 years old. Yes, we've discussed that here before. So Megan says she agrees with Brady after teaching middle schoolers you don't want to touch anything, even if you wash your hands.
Brady was that way long before he ever taught a middle schooler, though.
Well, that's true. I mean, but there again, you have to build up that immune system. That's part of it.
Yeah.
So Josh says you have to put Nutella in the microwave. 6-second Nutella perfection, he says. Is that in your home microwave or visiting microwaves as well? Is it always 6 seconds?
Yeah.
Or have you done any experimentation on that?
I think because we want to get to Todd's topic, I'll just leave it this one more.
I like my Nutella a little bit cold. Like, not cold, but like, I like it packy.
Slightly less than room temperature.
Can't be runny. Has to have some
I want
texture.
it held together. I want it almost where you can eat it with a spoon. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So the final one, standing in the corner or being told to stand in the corner. Does that happen anymore?
Yes.
Oh.
It wasn't that long ago. Somebody I know was telling me that that was a parenting method they were using. I mean, I have no qualm. I have no issues with it. I mean, but like, it definitely seemed like it was a popular thing back then.
Now, they're standing in the corner, which is different than putting your nose in the corner.
Correct.
Is there a difference though?
Yeah, well, if you're just kind of standing, but if you're made to put your nose in the corner, it has to be physically touching that corner.
Well, true. But I just always assume if you're told to stand in a corner, they don't mean stand there and face them and look at them.
Oh, you had to be facing the corner, just how close you have to face it.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I mean. Like, so I just assumed they were the same, interchangeable.
You could accidentally snort a cobweb, depending on the corner you're in. Hanging off your nose. I never got put in the corner much.
Oh, I think I did.
I
put Todd in the corner.
I don't recall a lot of anything like that, although I believe from stories I've been told that I was probably a bit hard to handle when I was young, maybe up until I was in 4th grade. And I do remember some of the choices I made. One story I always tell is, Brady, I don't know if you remember this or not, but I made the great choice in 2nd grade of deciding I was going to stay out on the playground when everyone else went back in the building. You know, I was going to stay out there and play while everyone else went back into class.
With whom?
Well, therein lies the problem, as I found out. I pulled it off. I stayed out there. I was out there by myself. And I thought, this is no fun. There's no one out here to play with. So I had to make the walk of shame back in,
Ooh.
turn myself in. So yeah, forethought was not always my strength.
So
Well-
today that couldn't happen because you'd be locked out of the building.
Yeah. That's
Correct.
true. Yeah.
Correct.
Interesting.
So did you get? So what was the? I'm assuming the punishment was. Well, was it one of those things where the teacher had no idea where you were?
I don't know poor Mrs. Stivers what she was trying to figure out about me at that point, where if she knew where I was. I don't know how. I don't remember how long it took me to figure out. I don't like being out here by myself.
Or was she eyeing you like, a lion eyes prey on the Serengeti, just waiting for you to make that walk in? As soon as you hit the door, it's like, bah!
That could be. I don't recall the aftermath. Maybe it's PTSD, and I just put it out of
Maybe
my
you were
mind.
concussed by the
Okay,
throat
I mean,
punch you got.
yeah, that could be.
Stivers.
But I also remember.
Post-traumatic Stivers discipline. That's
Yes. But I love Mrs. Stivers. I credit her for sowing the seeds of my love for history, and eventually I became a social studies teacher. And I think it kind of started there because she gave me a chapter book on Abraham Lincoln. I loved her. I felt bad disappointing her, I'm sure. But I do remember getting SWATs. Now, Eastwood put SWATs out there. That's why it kind of jogged my mind to this story. I got SWATs in the first grade. I got SWATs in the third grade. Although I don't feel my SWATs in the third grade were warranted, because
I remember that incident.
tell me about it. You remember it, so you can tell it.
If I remember correctly, it is weird how we can remember this stuff. But anyway, I think you got made a patsy. There was a sub that you allegedly misbehaved for the sub, so your name got put on the list. So anybody that got put on that list was receiving some lumber to the lumbar. And so, yeah.
That's exactly what happened. But I had a legitimate academic question. And I got out of my seat. I went to the desk to ask a question. My name was put on the list. I received SWATs for asking an academic question.
Was it a stupid?
No, it was legitimate. I don't recall what it was, but I recall it was legitimate.
Huh.
So I don't know if patsy's the right word, but I believe I was unfairly.
You were framed.
I don't even know if frame's the right word. I mean, I did get out of my seat when I was told not to, I guess, but my purpose for being up there was legitimate. You are a substitute teacher. You're supposed to help me.
You help me.
You help me.
Lee Harvey Fiskus. You are the. You are the.
Patsy. Yeah. So yeah, and I believe this part I may be misremembering. I believe I got those SWATs in front of the whole class.
That's not legal. I only
Maybe-
remember that
maybe-
happening once in
maybe-
kindergarten.
Maybe it was
You
legal.
think
in
it was
19
illegal?
Maybe it was legal in
You had to take it out into the
1979.
hall,
But
and there had to be
I
a
mean, I
witness
know,
present.
I know it typically happened in the hallway, but I didn't know there was a law, an
Yeah.
actual federal law. I mean,
Well, no, because like that guy that sued, it went all the way to the Supreme Court where he wanted his firing squad execution broadcast on live TV, and the Supreme Court said no. Eric falls under that statute. His butt busting was going to be live and in person, and that violated Supreme Court code. So, hence, out in the hall with a teacher witness.
It was Fiskus v. ELSD, a little known Supreme Court opinion.
Yeah,
I don't ever remember any kind of hallway and use punishment that involved another teacher as a witness. It was always the teacher swinging and the student the swingee.
Now, I remember there having to be a witness.
Really, I don't remember that. I got the paddle twice. First grade and second grade. Well, you gotta be to get the paddle in first grade. You have to accomplish some stuff there. I got the paddle in the first week of first grade. By the way,
wow.
That's impressive.
no, it
So,
wasn't.
So
I don't think
I
the record's been beaten. I don't think it ever was beat after that. Yeah.
So I always describe my elementary school experience as such. And I believe that's why I approach my job now in the way I do because I don't want kids to feel this way about elementary school the way I felt about it. And don't get me, I'm not disparaging anybody here. Maybe I'm disparaging a few people, but I think they're long gone. I believe my kindergarten teacher did not like kids or ceased liking kids. I believe my first grade teacher did not like me. Like I said, I love Mrs. Stivers in second grade. I believe anything I got from her as punishment wise was probably warranted. Third grade, I was coming out of my my criminal life, and I think I was out of it by fourth grade, and I was okay. But early elementary was, kind of rough for me, and maybe it was my fault. I don't remember that part, but
I think it's a combination. I don't want to. My kindergarten teacher was probably the same kindergarten teacher you had, who I'm pretty sure was the same kindergarten teacher my dad had.
Probably
Which is probably the same kindergarten teacher that Warren G. Harding had
I literally think my dad
in
had the same
1902.
So, for reference, my dad is 32 years older than me. So, I got to cut my kindergarten teacher some slack. Back then, I thought they were mean as a rattlesnake.
They were.
And I will agree that it would make you think they don't like kids, but I still think that this particular teacher liked kids. I think their way of molding and shaping the kid was just
like with a hammer and a chisel.
Yes. So
not like clay, like a hammer and a chisel.
My argument is if you knew you had a student who was made to go home and drive the oxen to plow the fields, you would think, my gosh, that is those parents should be arrested. That is but it was just the way it was back then. He or she came from a time where
they would lean back like a Pakistani all-star on the cricket team.
tough love. But I do believe
right up the wicket.
I mean, I got wrapped on the knuckles with the edge of those the paddles with the rubber ball. I mean, quite a bit. And,
no.
You know what it prepared me for? It prepared me for the old when you spread your fingers and you do the old
yeah.
But no, I see what you mean. But in hindsight, though, I would not say that they didn't like kids. I think that it was just the fact that they believed that kids should be brought up the way that it was in the
teaching manual came right from a Charles Dickens novel.
Yeah.
May I have more porridge, please, sir?
But
all right. So
let me say this. There's something to be said about our generation versus perhaps some younger generations that makes me wonder if maybe their way wasn't the right way. I'll say that.
Scream it to the clouds.
We definitely heard the word no. We definitely understood the word no, and the word no was something common from home to school, and we all know that that's not necessarily the case. So time will tell.
So I will tell a beloved dad story here based upon this topic. So my first grade teacher, which I mentioned, I don't feel she liked me. I feel I was told this comment was made, although it was not made to me. Maybe I was there when it was made. I don't know. But my parents were told if he didn't think he knew everything, he might learn something. That was the comment that was made. So that leads me to believe she did not like me. That being said, the wrapping across the knuckles that you mentioned was done to me by a paint stirrer, not a paddle with a ball on the end that was taken off.
Well, I like to think I had it tougher then because those are thicker than paint stirrers.
Well, that's true. That's true. But,
or was it the plastic paint stirrers that had the holes in them?
Yeah. No, it was just a long piece of narrow wood. So you had to stick your hand out like that, and right like that.
How hard?
I mean,
Did it leave a mark?
I don't remember, but obviously I went home and told that. So parent-teacher conference, I assume it was parent-teacher conference. It may not have been. Maybe it was a special meeting. But my dad told her, do not hit him in the hands anymore. He may need those someday. Hit him in the butt all you want. That was his comment.
He won't need that ever.
He won't need that ever. So there you go. So my dad felt that I probably needed something,
Yeah.
just not being hit in the hand. So again, that kind of leads me to believe I take some culpability in my elementary experience.
Well, at least your dad did.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's my views as a teacher have changed a lot of my views from when I was a kid. Like, we've all had those students who are know-it-alls. And I'm not saying you were, but I
probably was.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so I again, and I've had some students who are know-it-alls that I actually really like. It's not a matter of me not liking them because they're know-it-alls, but of course the difference is you can't tell them they're know-it-alls. I mean, like, you can't say that to them now. You can't call them a know-it-all. You certainly can't hit them in the hands with.
No.
I don't think I was a know-it-all. I think I was a know-it-most. I think I knew most of it, just not all of it. I had some humility, like when I corrected my teacher for mispronouncing sea anemone. I called it a sea anemone, and I protested.
No, reminds me that
the same thing. The same thing will be happening all these years later at local trivia competitions.
Yeah,
protest their answers.
That is true. Yeah.
But I was probably worse behaved than you guys growing up because I didn't stomp at that young of age like you guys seem to. It got through to you a lot. But I didn't get the paddle after second grade. And I think I've shared this story on here before. I got the paddle in first grade, fifth day of school. The only time in my academic life where my parents went in and my mom went in and talked to the whoever, the teacher or whatever, on my behalf. And the teacher admitted to my mom that I was an example, that our class was so bad that it was one of those deals where she had made up her mind that the next student who rattled the cage was
sacrificial lamb.
I was. And
you were the patsy.
My mom. Yeah.
So is Lee Harvey Griffin.
That's right. So, but the greatest comeback story ever happened not 4 days later.
Don't call it a comeback.
When I received the good listening ear, not 4 days after I got the paddle.
And you still have that good listening ear mounted in your house somewhere, don't you?
No, I had it forever. It was literally like an ear,
an actual ear.
No, it
came
was
from the kid who wasn't listening. They put it off while they were in the corner.
Yeah, no, it was a construction paper, like an off-white construction paper and you got it with your name on it, and I did. I held on to that for a lot of years because I was proud of myself. And looking back, the funny thing about it was, I likely didn't deserve the paddle, but I can promise you I didn't deserve the good listening ear 4 days later after getting the paddle. It was a constellation prize, is what it was.
Okay. That was a get your mom off her back prize, is what that was.
Exactly, yeah.
And that secretary lovingly cut out that auditory external meatus and put it on paper and handed it to you.
See, Brady, if you talk that way to teachers, you deserve to get your ass busted. You don't
I might have been prone to some Ponzi speech from time to time. An external auditory meatus.
Did you say hiatus?
I have no idea.
Did I hear a niner in there? So the question is, does Celia feel that you deserve the good listening ear?
I doubt it. She's tried to tell me before, but I don't really know what she said.
There you go.
Did you mean to do that?
Yes, I got you.
I-
No,
uh,
but I got him. I was a quite the collector of demerits in high school. Suspended once in high school. Saturday school once in high school. It really wasn't as bad as it seemed, but you know, we had a lot of the same elementary teachers, and I will say this about that back then is you had a couple teachers you didn't cross because you did not want to get in trouble.
yes.
And you know, and I think there was a lot to that. And in hindsight, I you know, there's one in particular we all know who I'm talking about. In hindsight, you know, that would not be allowed now. But I also look at it as that was part of my childhood. I mean, I think that it shaped us. I mean, it you know.
Yeah. We are all the collection of our experiences.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I never got the paddle from Mr. Cushing. Because as gentle and as nice as that man was,
I've only
He was
seen
a
that
large-
man angry once.
he was a large man, and I was
Once.
afraid to swing.
Shall I tell you the only time I've seen Mr. Cushing angry?
Yeah.
I'll bet
is we
I
came
know.
back- I bet you do. We came back from the weekend to Sardinia Elementary. Now, the older Sardinia Elementary building, which is now Brown County Christian Academy, had ceiling windows like skylights. And we entered the school and looked up at the skylight, and somebody had conducted their commerce. They'd laid a feces on top of it. So going down the hallway, you saw a feces in the skylight.
How'd they do that?
I can tell you now, without giving away too much.
It was you,
Let-
wasn't it?
No. Let's just say it was the close relative of a beloved custodian who,
Yes.
when grandfather had the keys, was there unattended, went up the ladder, got on the roof, conducted said commerce, and came back down and left
Was,
it displayed.
Was his name the same as a popular 90s alt-rock band?
Yes.
Can you take me? You can't take him any higher than that. That's what the top of squat. That is the ultimate upper decker right there.
Oh,
Upper decker.
upper decker. But he came in the room. He didn't say anything. The door opened, and I'll try to do it. He just for a good 20 seconds made eye contact with everybody in the room, looking, and pointed that finger, waiting for somebody to sweat. And you all saw that somebody went to the bathroom on the ceiling. That is not acceptable. They will be found. If you know something, say something.
Well, how cocky of him to say that will be found long before there were video cameras in schools. How would you find out who did it?
Somebody spilled the beans, I'm sure.
Sounds like it.
You can't keep that quiet.
Right at the top of the booth.
Or somebody was bragging about it.
Well, I mean,
The
let's be
the
honest.
beans and the celery from some Wendy's chili.
You don't do that and not tell somebody.
That's right. Yeah. So, yeah. You don't keep that a secret. It's not possible.
Here, okay.
You can't play Time Warner on the ceiling and not tell somebody. Laying the cable.
Let's go back. Let's go back to that smoky teacher's lounge. You know, between sips of coffee and fingering through the newspaper, did that generation of teachers? Because I want to be honest with you, if we all worked in the same school and that happened, we would be laughing our ass off in the break room about that. You know, we would, even if we had.
Oh, yeah.
Did those teachers think it was funny, or are we just that immature?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Did they get laughed about it?
Well, I think considering this was a K-8 building, I believe the K-3 teachers would have been appalled.
And it was in that wing of the hallway.
Yeah.
It was right by the office, first grade, second grade rooms going down. There it was.
how do you notice it unless somebody points it out to you?
Oh, it left a shadow. The sun was streaming down. It was like an eclipse.
Somebody thought Godzilla was coming.
Oh my gosh! It was a pardon me. It was a stalagmite right up there.
Stalagmite.
I know what you mean, Brady. Because and here's the deal. I told this story before. So a few years back, I've said this before, and I say it in a serious, yet I understand it's not a joking manner because of, unfortunately, what happens too often in schools now. We all, as teachers, would put ourselves in harm's way to protect our students.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know a teacher who wouldn't. You wouldn't be there if you wouldn't do that.
Yep.
Which is why not to get political, but it's why I get so mad about people who've never been in the classroom other than as students want to make those decisions for us about that when we're the ones who actually would do that. But if I see a mouse in my classroom,
a mouse,
my students are on their own. I'm out of there, and they can do it with the mouse. And that happened in my classroom a few years back. I'm teaching, and I'm looking out. I'm in the front of the room. I'm looking out, and all of a sudden, every student face out there looks up at the same time, and their mouth opens, and they start pointing, and they all start panicking, and I run out of the room.
Peace out,
now,
kids.
In my defense, I knew it wasn't a threat as far as it ended up being a mouse. So I walk back in the room, I look up, and I see it, and it looks like a rat that's about 1.5 feet long.
Was it wombat size?
It looked like it, but it was.
Was it twerking things to death in the ceiling?
So this mouse. Then when we knew what it was, and I knew that I was safe, and the kid, and so we watch it and we trace it, and it goes out of my room, and then it's in the hallway, and each set of lights you could see it running across until it ran and turned the corner and down into another hallway. 2 days later, the mouse ended up laying in our break room floor in front of the pop machine with a broken neck, dead. But my point is, up in that light, that fluorescent light with those covers, that mouse looked like it was about 1.5 feet long, like a rat. So I'm sure that this ass mouse that this kid had deposited looked bigger than what it was. But I still don't know how you just notice it. Somebody had to point it out.
I'm guessing the perpetrator pointed it out to somebody, and then
that's
became...
what I was thinking. Yeah, he who dealt it
pointed it
out.
In first grade in St. Sardinia Elementary, somebody dumped out the Lincoln Logs, and there was a small snake in it. It was hiding in the Lincoln Logs that went slithering across the
Not
floor.
where I thought you were going with that. Wow. Yeah.
All right, so you bring up first grade in Sardinia Elementary, so I have to make another confession, which I made at school also, because I believe it is karma visiting me. So there was a small restroom there by the gym, and the urinal had a big shiny button to flush it.
Yeah, like a disc.
Yeah, a disc. It was so fun to push that button over and over and over and over again until the water cascaded out of said urinal onto the floor. I did this many times as a first grader. Look at his face. I've never told you that before.
No. I always wondered the degenerate who was doing that in first grade. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, look at him.
Couldn't keep a straight face.
Yeah, right. So now I'm chasing kids around who flood the urinals, looking at cameras. And I think the whole time, yep, this is karma.
I deserve this. Yeah.
And the people there in the office are appalled by, like, why would a kid do? And I said, listen, when you're a kid, that's kind of a fun thing to do. Shouldn't be doing it, but I get why they do it, because I did it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, but that's a fine line too, because just because you understand or get why they did it,
Well, I'm not saying I should have done it.
Well, no, but I'm saying like you also have to like because we were like this conversation before we went on air about the whole like not hearing the word no type of situation.
Right.
You have to be able to say no, even though you maybe you know what I mean. Like if we could go talk to the person who we're talking about who left the upper decker in the school. I can't imagine, even though they did it, they would tell their kids, "Hey, it would be okay for you to drop now and pinch a loaf up on top of it."
I mean, it's my job to keep order, just like it was their job to keep order back in the day.
That person's lucky they didn't fall through the glass, the window.
I mean, I don't want to sound crass, but I've often wondered the logistics. Because, like, where
I thought it was just kind of hanging over the edge and depositing.
Oh, it was right in the middle, man. You let, like I
They
said,
had to stand on the glass.
Yeah.
Well, or
they could have done the grab and hang.
I hate to be gross, but they could have had an apparatus to catch it and then dump it on, like, throw it on it.
That's even worse, probably.
Apparatus.
Yeah.
It depends on the apparatus.
That's true. But
if it's like a wiffle ball bat, they just scoop it and sling.
Chances are there's probably lots of things thrown on those roofs that could
If
have
it's a
been.
jart, I mean,
Chart.
No.
So we have comments here.
sorry, we got kind of caught up in our
Nostalgia. Part nostalgia, part venting of the soul.
Part confession.
Yeah. Jim says a friend's dad showed up to school one day, took the entire class to get ice cream at the ice cream parlor down the road. No need to have permission slips. No worries about allergies. Yes. Good old days.
good old days.
Historian says we didn't get SWATs. They were gone when I was in school, but there were many equivalent punishments. Nonsense. We pulled in a certain teacher's shop class. Speaking of that shop class, that was something of the past as well. Yeah, we don't have. I guess there's some ag shops now, but I don't know that there's any industrial arts anymore. Is there in any high schools? Maybe some in the city. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never really thought about that.
I think our friend Andy Creighton, it seems like he does something like that.
Well, he does it with computers, though. It's like computer-aided design sort of thing, because PJ took his class. So, Jim says they were swinging the paddle until 2009.
Of course, the urban legend of the electric paddle in Mr. Cushing's office,
right?
Which conjured up, this is a debate, different images.
Correct. Todd says you getting the listening ear was the modern day ref makeup call.
I agree, John. Yes.
For your mother coming in.
No comment, Chris.
And yes, Jim, my chasing kids around flooding the bathrooms is karma to me. That is correct.
Well, I've often told this story. I mean, you guys know my mom. I mean, everybody knows my mom knows that my mom is not some hardcore, like, she's as sweet and kind as you can possibly be. But speaking of Mr. Cushing, I mean, who I admire, and again, I never had anything but positive interactions with him. But I did get in trouble for fighting one time, and I remember calling my mom with me there, and doing the whole like speakerphone thing where like I guess he thought that it was going to be like me embarrassed, whatever. My mom was basically like, he's there, he's on your watch, you deal with him. Why like don't and that is just a difference in in schools now. I mean, like just the fact that my mom's whole idea was, hey, if he gets in trouble on your watch, you deal with him. He gets in trouble on my watch, I deal with him, type of thing. And that didn't mean that I wasn't going to get in trouble at home, but it just meant like, why are you calling me?
Don't tell me what you're going to do. Just do it.
Just do it. Yeah.
Whack him if you need to whack him.
Whack him.
kind of like my dad said. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Don't cripple him, but or don't take away the use of his hands, but whack him if you need to whack him.
We had funny, real quick, just to show you how times have changed. It's been several years ago. I had a student on our team, had been having some issues and some behavior issues, and I believe there was like kind of a conversation in private about like, hey, we want to call home and talk about this or whatever, and it was a very creepy, head raising up. I wouldn't do that if I were you. That type of answer. And I'd be damned if we weren't afraid to call because of that. I mean, that's the difference there,
Right. It's Miss Wilson. Hello.
Miss Wilson.
Miss Wilson.
Industrial art skills are at the JBS CTC. Yeah, so that's where the trades are now. I don't think, like I said, I don't know of any high schools now that have that sort of thing on their campus. Yeah. Samantha says, when she was in elementary school, you were the cool kid if you got the principal's paddle. It had holes in it and electric tape, or so they said. So I take it from the fact you say that you were not a cool kid, that you did not get the principal's paddle.
Did you not get the principal's paddle, Samantha? Where did you go to school, Samantha?
Yes.
Eastern graduate as well, or?
I don't want to speak for her, but she's from out of state, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I forget where, Samantha. I apologize. But
Mississippi.
Yes.
So am I crooked letter, I crooked letter. Humpback.
Something I learned from the sitcom Alice. Don't ask me why.
That's sad.
Yeah.
From Alice.
The electric paddle brings
Stow
up
it, dingy.
He's Patriots. And so did you think the electric paddle, what I thought the electric paddle was one that had like electric electrodes on it, you plugged it into the wall, and it would like electrocute, like shock your buttocks when it hit.
That was my take.
Yes. But then some people thought the electric paddle was like a steamboat's paddle wheel. It was circular, like a Ferris wheel. That you plug it in, it would just be blah, 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 blah. Is it like,
I can't imagine anybody thinking that.
I was stunned when I was told that.
I don't ever remember hearing tale of the lore of the electric paddle when I was a Ute. Mr. Cushing, he had his paddle hanging right behind him was behind his desk.
Well, see, these are stories coming from people who never were actually in his office, so there's the difference. Yeah. I guess you could speak to the actual paddle and we could not.
Well, it's the fear of what you didn't see that you built up in your mind.
Yeah. I never got it from, what's funny about my paddlings is I didn't deserve either one of them. But I deserved paddle as much as I went through school. I deserved them and didn't get them. And the times I didn't deserve, I got them twice. And the second time I got the paddle, a friend of ours did not get in line where they wanted to get in line. So they went to the back of the line, whipped up some fake tears, and then came and told the teacher that and I'd be damned. I wish they had cameras in schools back then because
they would have been toast.
Yes, the egg on that kid's face. Because I didn't know such a thing.
So Samantha says, according to her high school yearbook, it said, "I'll be cool someday." Did you write that to yourself, or did someone write that for you?
No, she is cool because she is listening to this podcast.
Well, I was getting ready to say, yes. Well, if you don't mind me asking, so what year are we talking graduate? Is it about the same as our historian?
Yeah. She also says her brother got the principal's paddle several times, and hers was like Todd, all in first grade. Yeah.
Back when our butts could take it, I mean, come on, here's why. Because I always thought if you were a high schooler and got the paddle back then, your teachers knew who they were paddling. You know what I mean? They knew you were a little tougher. But in the first grade, they didn't try to hurt you.
No, I didn't.
Those teachers didn't know if you had a posterior like a wombat that could take that.
Right. That was before twerking, though, Brady. So my twerking skills were still intact.
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of taken this topic and made it into an entire episode, I think. But, Joe. Hello, Joe.
Go.
My cousin Joe.
Worst paddling he ever got in school was from his Aunt Donna when she was principal at Higginsport Middle School.
Yeah, that has to make it worse when it's a relative paddling you.
So Samantha said...
They feel like they can get by with just a little more.
Right. Samantha says, written by a fellow classmate, he teased me often, graduating class of 2008.
All right, so same as me.
Well, same as you.
Hey,
Get out of here. Plus 13.
Give or take.
Yeah. All right. So I think at this point we don't really have time to get into the bracket.
Todd, I'm sorry.
No,
I actually thought that this was going to be a relatively
you don't have to apologize to me.
short topic.
I tell you what I'll do, though. I will give a preview of the next episode.
Hey,
How's that?
that's awesome.
I'll go through the matchups so everybody can be. Do we have anybody listening still other than?
Oh yeah, we got 11 people in the room.
We have as many as we started with. Maybe we should do it. You want to do a region, or you want to just give a preview?
Yeah, let's give a preview.
Let's give a preview, but I'll give a preview. So next week, we will be finishing the TV sitcom championship bracket. This is one of the larger brackets that we've done. And here are the matchups. In the A region, it's a tough region. We have Modern Family versus That 70s Show. Who will it be? We have Sanford and Son versus the lowly Welcome Back, Kotter. We have Happy Days versus South Park. We have Martin versus Andy Griffith. And that wraps up the region. Now, to me, there is a favorite coming out of that region.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any prediction for the winner of that region?
South Park. South Park or Modern Family. I think that's close, but
yeah,
I'd say South Park.
I can tell you Cotter's not going all the way anyway.
No.
In the B region, Seinfeld versus Full House. Three's Company versus Frasier. Brady Bunch versus The Wonder Years. This one has definitely the more difficult matchups.
Yep.
And King of the Hill versus Golden Gals. That is the B region. What's your favorite for that one, guys? What are you liking so far?
I know what I'll say, but it probably will not be the winner.
What do you think?
I will keep that. I am a Seinfeld fan, so
I'm going to say Golden Girls is going to win that region.
I could see that.
I could see that.
All right, C region. Simpsons versus Home Improvement. Everybody Loves Raymond versus Bewitched. That's a mismatch. That's a mismatch. All in the Family versus Fresh Prince, and Family Ties versus I Love Lucy. My favorite is Everybody Loves Raymond in that region.
I'd agree with that.
In the final region, again, chime in next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. We have Cheers versus Gilligan's Island. Laverne and Shirley, speaking of Milwaukee,
Schlemiel Schmazel
versus Roseanne and her loose meat sandwiches. We have Scrubs versus King of Queens. And last but not least, we have Saved by the Bell and Kelly Kapowski versus The Office. That's a tough one right there. I'm hoping for King of Queens going all the way on that one. And that'll be next week.
All right. So prep your votes for that. So a couple more comments. Miss Wilson said she had to give the paddle to a senior who chose SWATs over getting suspended. After the first SWAT, he turned and said that was nothing. He didn't say the same thing after the second.
You know, Miss Wilson, I'm sure I pushed your buttons. And I'm quite certain. But I could not imagine you angry enough to paddle me.
Miss Wilson bringing the heat.
Yeah. So that kid deserved it.
Bringing down the thunder.
Yeah.
And yes, that would have been Brady's Aunt Donna as well.
Yep. Who administered the paddle to my cousin Joe. It's rough.
It is rough.
Imagine what would have happened had she heard you say the F word, Brady. You deserved it. You would have deserved all the paddling.
Oh, yeah. She would have lit you up for that.
Oh, man.
Publicly on a TV14 podcast.
Right.
I still say it didn't happen.
The audio says otherwise.
Forever.
Forever, yes. All right. Anything else, gentlemen? Schmiddleman.
Nothing else for me.
Yes, the historian says once again, and his word cannot be besmirched in this podcast.
I think the historian has made one mistake, one inaccuracy.
And it was minor.
This entire time. It was very minor in this entire time. So what he says goes.
Yes.
His word is
final word.
Worth its weight in gold.
All right.
I hear a dog yapping.
Oh my gosh. Bruno T Dog is back there yapping his butt off.
Doesn't sound like his butt.
Hopefully it's not. Probably
all right.
Yard. Depends on who you ask, Samantha. I'm assuming you mean that when I said the historian's always right, is that what she's getting at there?
Oh, I think that was
it. That my pure as driven snow reputation is intact because she did not hear me say the F.
Nah, that's not what she's saying.
So that would be between now and next week. Historian, if you're listening, and you are, you need to play the episode for Samantha so we can hear what she thinks about whether Brady dropped an F-bomb on a Made for Kids podcast.
Kids. Yeah, made for people who act like 12-year-olds. All right. If you like the audio version of our podcast, you can find it on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and the iHeartRadio app. Most anywhere else you might find an audio podcast. Video-wise, we're on Spotify as well. And YouTube, our Play It By Ear podcast channel, as well as Twitch. So,
there's a new level of feeling old happened the other day to me, just yesterday actually, and I wanted to ask if this. I meant to bring this up, so I apologize. I know we're at the 2-hour mark, close to it, but this is mainly for you guys. But anybody listening who's getting up there, who's getting a little longer in the tooth, I put my age on a post on Facebook, and somebody said, "You're 47?" ? You look 37. And I found myself getting pissed that they thought I looked 37.
Well, you thought that was too old?
You're getting old when someone literally they pay you a compliment and say you look 10 years younger than you look, and that's still too old for you.
And it's not enough of a compliment.
No, because you miss the days of when you're like, you get in your 30s, you're like, I'm getting older. And you're like, well, you still look like you're 22 or something like that. That feels good. But when you get up there a certain age and the age that you can no longer fool people into thinking that you are is long gone. I felt that the other night for maybe the first time. I mean, and it got to me. So anyway, just didn't know if you guys had ever experienced that before.
Well, the age they don't even think about carding you for anything. That's when you get to that point.
Brady, your dog's making other people's dogs bark.
I know they're causing a ruckus.
Apparently,
I haven't
heard it.
So someone in the peanut gallery over there needs to step up.
You see that? Samantha has heard Brady many times.
Well, many times, and that also says, and this really is the ultimate. Your mother heard you say it. I mean, it doesn't matter what the historian says. Your mother heard you say it.
There are 2 your mother lines that work perfectly every time. One of them was on the Great Short Circuit. Your mother was a snowblower. And this one, your mother heard you say it, Brady. So there you go.
And the mic dropped at that
There you
point. Social medias, we're on Facebook, X, and Instagrams. You can interact with us via email, admin@playitbyearpodcast.com. You can leave us a voice message by clicking the link at your audio podcast provider. If that provider is iHeartRadio or the app they're in, it is a microphone called the TalkBack feature. If you'd like to leave us a voice, voice messages. It's been a while since we've called for them. Someone leave us a voice message. We would love to hear that. All right. Anything else, gentlemen?
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
You know, historian, whoever else is listening, I don't know exactly who's listening. Historian, Samantha, Miss Wilson. Who else is listening? We can't tell out there who's listening.
Jim, well, there's 10 people in the
Jim.
room. There's
Savannah's
all
probably
10
going to
of you.
send me a voice message of her dogs barking for revenge.
All 10
Right.
of you. Call and leave us a voice message. We enjoy them. We will play them over the air unless you don't want us to, and then we won't. We'll respect your privacy. But we like it. It strokes our egos.
Yes. Well, and it's nice for the community to know each other by voice and not just by a name along the screen with a comment.
So, Eric, real quick, I know you said it. Can we once again get those directions for how to leave a voicemail?
Yes. If you go to your audio podcast provider, whichever one that might be, there should be a link. And you can click that. Yeah, because the link will say leave a voice message. You can click that and you can do it that way. And again, if it's iHeartRadio, it's a microphone and it says talkback. So you can click on that and do it that way.
Or if you're like me and you don't want to talk
Or,
or call, you can leave us a messenger message.
yes.
A Facebook Messenger message. Go to the Play It By Ear podcast Facebook page. First off, if you haven't done so, give us a follow. Go to our personal pages, Eric, Brady, or mine, and give us a follow. And you can private message any of us, and we'll make sure the other ones get it.
Right.
Or you can message all three of us at the same time.
Yeah, Todd, you need to do that spiel you do at your shows about liking and following and.
Yeah. So if you haven't done so, if you're listening, please give us a follow. Play It By Ear podcast. And if you've never tried it, it's amazingly easy to invite your entire friends list in just a few clicks. You essentially go to our page. I believe there's a few the little dots. You go click those, whatever it is. You'll get to a page where you can invite friends, and you can check a box to invite all of your friends at once and hit the send or the invite button, and it will literally invite however many Facebook friends you have. We would love to see an uptick in follows or likes or whatever our page is set up to be.
Indeed. We're 700 and some, I think. So, yeah, we'd love to see an uptick in that.
Let's get us to quadruple digits.
And Chris, I would welcome Paul Peters to leave a voicemail. I still think it was Richard Marks.
I do too.
That's what you like to think.
That's what I like to think. He's finally responding to my years of
Haranguing.
trying to rope a dope him into a fight.
All right. Believe we'll be here next Wednesday night. Gentlemen, is that correct? Wednesday. All right. And we will see everybody then. Todd, if you will.
Oh, why'd I have to re-up? You know
I
what's
don't
weird
know.
is I was one eye blind there. I had him in front of one eye. I didn't realize I had to re-up.
These flashing traces.
You saw 2 different fingers in each eye.
Yeah.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Play It By Ear podcast. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter at Play It By Ear Pod 2, and our website at anchor.fm/Play It By Ear podcast. Thanks again, and join us next time as we play it by